As I walked into the hospital room, I was met by a great surprise because I was told that I was going to visit a woman who was terminally ill. Imagine my surprise when she was just as old as me. This was a few years ago, and going into that hospital room, I had to face a very serious truth, and that's that we all die. We all have an end to our lives. And especially for young people, we like to think that that's far off in the future. But visiting that woman that day helped me to realize that it's something that can touch all of us. I was also impressed being able to speak to her parents because they very much felt the pain of their daughter. They very much wanted to help her. I was able to speak some words of comfort. Nevertheless, it always seems a little insufficient when somebody is facing, the eternal question of going to the other side. Welcome to this edition of Formation Matters. I'm very happy to see you today. And I think that seeing that example of those parents who were facing the very serious loss of their daughter can bring us into the context of Good Friday. Good Friday, there's a lot of different things that the church is able to celebrate, all united to the passion and death of our Lord Jesus Christ. A lot of times in our parishes, we'll have a way of the cross at some point in the morning, and then in the afternoon, the celebration of the Lord's Passion. And I would like to invite you on Good Friday to think especially of Mary at the foot of the cross. It's a deep truth. It's a truth that allows us a lot of room for contemplation, for meditation, for thinking, what did it mean for Mary to be there? And I think one of the principal emotions that Mary must have been feeling while she was standing there at the foot of the cross was a great desire to hold Jesus. She had the memory of many years before holding him as a small baby and being able to take care of every one of his needs. She would have remembered as well, him taking his first steps or his first stumbles, and almost looking forward to the stumbles, because when he fell, she'd have the excuse to, kind of grab him up, bring him in, and give him a kiss on the forehead, a little bit of a hug. Although I'm sure that Jesus, like a lot of toddlers, would have been very insistent and very independent, so he would have pushed away and gotten back to the business of learning how to walk. Mary, as he was growing up, was also always there for Jesus. And whenever he would need a hug, a few words of comfort, Mary was always there. We can probably think that as well, a few days before him suffering his passion and death, Mary had another opportunity to give him a hug and to be close to Jesus, but that he as well had said, well, no, now it is my hour. Now it is time for me to do something else. Now my passion is approaching. If you think back to John 2, the wedding at Cana, we know that this young bride is having her wedding feast, and they don't have enough wine. If we go back to the wedding at Cana, we know that this bride and groom do not have enough wine. And Mary goes to Jesus and says, they need you, right? And then she tells the others, do whatever he tells you. And Jesus responds to Mary really with a rebuke. And he says, woman, my hour has not yet come, right? And that was an indication that once he started his public ministry, once he had that first public miracle, the whole future was going to change. Things were no longer to be the same. Now we can imagine a similar encounter of Jesus and Mary, but now with him saying, my hour has come. And how painful must that have been for Mary? How difficult to watch her only son suffer and die on a cross. Nevertheless, this is a sign of much hope for us, because it is through his passion and death that we are saved from the tentacles of sin. It is through his passion and death that we are redeemed and that we're granted entry into heaven, that we're able to be restored to a life of grace, a life within God, which is such a great gift for all of us. And if we think about Jesus on the cross, I'm sure that there was one moment of very special consolation, and that's when he saw you at the foot of the cross. And you might say, what are you talking about? And it does happen there. We see St. John the evangelist who's standing at the foot of the cross. He's the only one of the disciples that makes it there, and he's standing there for each one of us.